We need to talk about the noise problem. I mean, if you're running a SOC or you're in the CISO chair, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got tools generating thousands of alerts. You have intelligence feeds just piping in data 24/7.
And the question is, are you actually any safer? Or are you just drowning in data that happens to be better labeled?
Exactly. It's the paradox of modern cybersecurity. We have more visibility than ever, but somehow less clarity.
And most teams are just stuck in that reactive loop, firefighting individual alerts without ever seeing the arsonist.
Right, and that's where we're focusing today. We're doing a deep dive into Threat Vision by Team T5. Their whole pitch is this shift from alert-centric to adversary-centric. But, let's be honest. Every vendor claims to offer actionable intelligence. What is Team T5 actually doing that's different?
Well, it really comes down to how they structure their analysis. They lean very heavily on the diamond model.
Which our listeners probably know, at least conceptual.
Right. But Team T5 applies it rigorously. I mean, it forces a narrative out of the chaos. They're not just tagging an IP address as malicious.
Okay.
They are strictly linking that piece of infrastructure to a specific adversary, a capability, and of course, a target.
But hold on a second. Most good analysts are already trying to do that.
Uh,
So why would Threat Vision's approach get better results than, say, a standard open source feed?
It's the depth of the correlation. It's the time horizon. Instead of just flagging a hash, they're looking at infrastructure reuse over years.
Years.
Yes. Because they track these specific APT groups for so long, they identify patterns a generic feed just misses completely. They can tell you, look, this isn't just random phishing.
It's something more.
Exactly. They'll say, this is Group X returning to an exploit kit they haven't touched in 6 months, and they're targeting the financial sector again.
Okay, so it's moving from just detection to something more like predictive capability. But I want to drill down on their claim about the APAC advantage. Team T5 is based in East Asia.
They are.
In a globalized world, why does their physical location or cultural background matter to a company in, say, London or New York?
This is actually one of the most overlooked parts of threat intel. The Asia-Pacific region is a massive hub for cyber espionage and cybercrime.
No question.
But the underground communities there, they don't operate in English. They have these unique closed ecosystems. And Team T5 isn't just running translation scripts on dark web forums.
So what are they doing?
They have analysts with native language skills, with real cultural fluency.
Give me a concrete example. What does cultural fluency catch that some translation engine is going to miss?
Think about comments in the code, or slang used in a ransomware negotiation chat, or even specific dialect nuances in a phishing email.
Oh, okay.
A Western analyst might see a string of characters and just miss the context, but a native speaker recognizes it as specific regional slang, and that can tie the malware to a known hacker group in a very specific province.
That's a level of attribution you just can't get from the binary alone.
It's impossible.
So they're effectively eavesdropping on the adversary in their own language.
They are. And that lets them anticipate campaigns sometimes before they even deploy globally.
All right, let's pivot to the practical side. I'm a CISO. I buy this platform. Is this just going to give me another 50-page PDF every week that my team has no time to read?
That's the big fear, isn't it? Shelfware.
Yeah.
But the output is what they call defense ready. They provide analyst-verified IOCs and detection rules that plug right into your existing CM or SOAR.
But doesn't that just add back to the noise problem we started with? If I'm feeding more rules into my SIEM, don't I just get more alerts?
Not if the intelligence is curated correctly. See, that's the real difference between data and intelligence.
The context.
The context. Because they map everything back to business risk and intent, you can actually prioritize. You aren't alerting on everything. You're alerting on the behaviors that signal a strategic threat to your specific industry.
So the SOC can say, we can ignore that generic scan, but we need to isolate this endpoint right now.
Because it just triggered a rule associated with an APT group that's been targeting our direct competitors.
Exactly. It filters the signal.
For leadership, that's everything. It changes the conversation with the board.
It does. It goes from we blocked 10,000 viruses to we successfully detected and blocked a coordinated campaign that was targeting our intellectual property.
And that's a business risk conversation, not a technical one.
Precisely. And that's usually where the budget battles are won or lost. It lets the CISO put resources where the actual human intent is focused instead of just spreading defenses thin across the entire perimeter.
So the goal really is to move from asking what happened back to answering who is doing this and why.
That's it in a nutshell. It's about shifting from reactive firefighting to proactive resilience.
A compelling argument for specialized intelligence. Well, we'll leave it there for this deep dive, but here's something for you to mull over. If you stopped chasing every single blip on your dashboard and focused entirely on the human intent behind the screen, how would your daily defense strategy actually change? Thanks for listening.